Welcome to the Layman Seminary. We have Rafe with us again. We just interviewed Rafe, gave a little bit of background and the information, but this particular video, we're going to be talking about his Sunday school preparation. He's a Sunday school teacher and what he does for that. So, Rafe, introduce yourself to that extent and share with us whatever's on your mind about this issue.
Sure. So I'm a Sunday school teacher at my church. And the way that, so I'm a pretty brand new Sunday school teacher. And so we're doing something called the Gospel Project. And so the way that I prepare my Sunday school lesson now, and I've gotten good feedback on this, the way that I do it now is I look at the lesson in the book, and then I outline the lesson on a Word document. And I stay close to the book, but I add a lot of my own notes and my own commentary that basically give the same understanding of the book, just simply in my words. And I even add deeper things about the culture and the context that I think deserve to be in there that aren't. And it's gotten really good feedback. People love it. Because I add something a little deeper to the Sunday school. And so right now, that's the way I go.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Why don't you just read from the book?
Well, if I just read from the book, that would be a little bit, first of all, it'd be boring.
Okay. For you or for them?
For both of us. For both of us.
Okay.
It would tell them that perhaps I did not even prepare or do anything to know about the content, because I could simply just read the book and not have to worry about it. That could be a possibility. So it would show them that I really don't care about maybe preparing, and that I really don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I shouldn't. I mean, they could, for instance, they could read the book if I did that. Why don't they? Why do I deserve to teach if I'm just reading the book? And
Right.
it gives me less authority, and it looks like I really don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it's boring for me because let's face it, a lot of these books have information in there that just by itself is not that great. And so if for me to add things to it, it makes it more alive and makes it more rich.
Okay. So do you think maybe one of the reasons that some people are not attending Sunday school as much, I'm not talking about in your church, but just in general, maybe because there are a lot of people that just read the book?
That's true. That's possibly true. They either read the book or they put the book in their own words and add really nothing to it to make it more interesting.
Okay. And so you described where you're at now.
Yeah.
What was your first experience teaching any class, whether an individual or
Oh,
a group?
that's a good question. Let me think. My first experience at teaching any class, as far as I can remember,
Hmm.
was teaching a group of men at the same church years ago. We were going over a basically systematic theology,
Wow.
an introduction to it.
Wow. I mean that's pretty deep, for your first class.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so what made you confident to teach that?
Because I know systematic theology.
Okay.
I know enough about, and I know an introductory level well enough to teach people.
All right. And so what made you think that you had the gift or the responsibility to communicate that to other people?
Yeah. So I felt like I was urged to do it because uh, it was a need in the church, and every church is to get people deeper into the Bible. And I had the ability to do that, and there was an opportunity there, and the pastor said yes, so I did it. So I felt like I needed to do it. I wanted to do it because it's something that I feel called to do, teach other people about the Bible, as I said in the last video.
Hmm.
And as far as me feeling like why did I do it? I've always felt, for the past 5 years, I felt called to ministry. And so
Okay.
I knew that I would be able to deliver and communicate the message of whatever we're going over on a level that they would understand.
And during that time, whenever so you recognize, okay, the responsibility that the pastor wanted you to do, the call of God, and then the need to help those people.
Mhm.
But how did that did you have any anxieties? Did you have any fears, worries about speaking or doing a good job or any of that? I mean, just because there are other Sunday school teachers that may do it for the first
Sure,
time out there
sure.
watching this video. So,
Yeah, I had fears and anxiety about mostly about what to include on this particular subject. I mean, it's a large subject, it's a heavy subject. So most of my fears and anxiety was about what to include, what not to include. I after the first time I remember teaching, I was nervous, but after that, because by God's grace I knew the subject so well, the different
mhm,
subjects we were going over, I didn't have much nervousness after that.
okay,
Once we started talking and laughing and having a good time, the first time it was good, and from then I wasn't nervous.
all right. So, um, what was the next teaching gig? A
Hmm.
teaching
Hmm.
assignment that you had
Yeah.
to do.
Well, I at the same church I taught a Bible study on Saturday morning over the book of Philippians with many of the same men.
Okay, what kind of Bible study was this?
Well, it was a verse by verse expository Bible study.
All right. And how was that different from teaching theology?
Well, yeah, very different because with theology you're dealing with you're dealing with concepts. With the verse by verse Bible study, you're dealing with, of course, the Bible and text, and so you look for your pericope, and then you get your pericope, and then you need to research historical background and literary context and cultural things, and then you got to put it together and get the meaning of it, and then the application that you can draw from the text and what it says to us today. And so there's a lot more things involved in an expository Bible study than there are in a theology lesson.
Hmm. I want to continue to ask you about your different teaching assignments that led up to
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
but it just reminded me to say this is that basically when we're talking about teaching, you have preparation, you have your delivery, and your evaluation.
Hmm.
And I want to talk a little bit more about preparation. I mean,
Right.
because you've talked about, sorry, you've talked about preparation both for the systematic theology and as well as the more line by line study.
Hmm.
So, what I want to ask you, going back to the systematic theology about delivery, um, what was your experience in your delivery? How did you deliver? What do you suggest about delivery? What did you learn about that in the process?
You're frozen, Charles. I can't hear
It's
you.
Can you hear me at all? Hello, Rafe? Okay, well we'll pause this right here since Rafe cannot hear me. We'll make a part two.